it's complicated and multidimensional. And so I'll paint a few of
For
the
sure.
dimensions and maybe go deep where you're interested.
Go ahead.
So a fundamental thing is that memory should be private and configurable and controllable and portable. I think that vendors, of course, want to create walled gardens that violate all of these architectural guidelines that I've just discussed. They want memory to be locked into their application. They want to curate how memory impacts conversations and decisions and agentic behavior. And that is all very anti-consumer. And it is something that I worry about. And I would say that Ambient's approach will be to implement these architectural guidelines such that memory that we provide will be private and that will be respected. It will be portable if you could export it if you wanted and move it to another system. It will be configurable in the way that it interacts with your chat queries and in a fine-grained way, not just at some very high-level way, etc. And I think that that is the only responsible way to build memory that is consumer-friendly. So that's
Right.
there's an economic dimension to this. But I also think that there is an underappreciated model safety dimension to this, which is that if you look at the lawsuits against OpenAI that have been recently posed by people whose loved ones lost their minds or committed suicide or committed other acts, the thing that they have in common is that ChatGPT was acting way outside of its design parameters with respect to the amount of context that it was getting. We're talking about people having hundreds of pages of conversations involving suicidal ideation, for example. And
That's disturbing.
yes, and the reality is that nobody can afford to red team these scenarios. There is no universe in which you can create enough 200-page chat excerpts covering every topic area to be able to satisfy yourself that a model will not go off the rails if it has incredibly long context with certain themes or undercurrents. Actually, it's something that's impossible to really test.
Right.
And I will say something controversial, which is I don't think that we should be putting systems into the world that are untestable. I think that we may have the raw technical capability to take in this amount of information and use it as context, but if we can't actually test that, then we should artificially limit the amount of context that we take in. And from Ambient's standpoint, if we build memory systems, of course, we can't stop people from using Ambient in different ways. But at a protocol level, we are going to discourage people from unbounded context insertion.
See, another thing is you wouldn't go ahead and sell the product to something like the military where it kind of gets trained to understand war situations or death see, a model, no matter if you have a user side or a business side, there is an underlying training happening with the communication that it has itself, right? With your different users. So this context being fed is something that's, I would say, very dangerous. So again, and another thing that I can bring in here would be Apple's story, their entire privacy story. So they've recently introduced this private cloud compute to handle all of their heavier AI tasks, right? And they are claiming to have really strong privacy guarantees. So one question that I want to throw to you here would be, do you think the future is fully decentralized, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a hybrid? Will it be on device plus a verifiable cloud, or what does it look like to you?